Hello and welcome to the B Button episode 9. Here we go again. And as always, I'm joined by the one and only, the man himself, the legend that is the one and only Angry Link. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. Finally sort of recovered from my Friday night hangover.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously rolling out of bed a bit later than I wanted to this morning, but...
Nature of the beast, these things happen?
Generally, yeah. Well, it didn't help. I sort of forgot to put my phone on charge, forgot to do any of my alarms. I woke up with my phone stuck to my face this morning.
Woke up and went, oh god, I've got to set this alarm.
Basically, yeah.
Nice
and then
touch.
just sort of rolled out of bed and pretty much got my tea and off I came.
Good work. So, I know for a fact that this week you've been doing something very special, which is playing video games.
An actual proper console release.
Yeah, exactly.
I've turned it on and plugged it in and put the controller in and everything.
I was sat at work and I got a little text which came through and said,
I've caved.
I bought the Division.
Yeah.
So?
Well, I was obviously going to sort of hold off till next week when I've actually got some proper disposable income.
Yeah.
But I thought, yeah, you know what, I'll just go out stuff like food and travel. I can walk, I've got legs.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I thought I'll pick that up.
What do you reckon?
I mean, it's got some problems. I think there's obviously some issues that we'll talk about a bit later. But no, I mean, it's a solid game. I'm sort of just not blasting through it. I'm not in any great rush with it.
Nice.
Because I got that was my main problem with Destiny. After the first month, I kind of got fatigued with it, and I don't want to do that again, because it's a game that's got a lot of life to it.
It's one of those things where you could just absolutely mack it out. I know a few people on our friends list have already smashed it through to level 30. They're destroying the Dark Zone. Yeah,
there's very little for them to sort of achieve beyond the sort of once they've ranked up fully and got all of the gear that they want.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of taking the approach that I'll play it as long as I want to play it. There's usually enough stuff which comes out that I play that I'll play it whilst I want to play it, you know what I mean?
I mean, you've got quite a few bits and bobs that have come out recently that you've picked up that you can always jump back onto, haven't you? Obviously, Hitman.
Zelda.
So, you still blasting through the Uncharted, or did you finish that off?
No, so I've got to go back to that. The Division's really taken up my time this week. But yeah, for me, I've been sort of the Division and a little bit of Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, because the definitive has been released on PC and Xbox One this week.
Yeah,
hasn't it?
Although I still can't work out, I looked in my Xbox download list, and lo and behold, they said you've got Ori and the Blind Forest, and now you've also got the normal edition as well. Yeah. Why do I want that?
Can I have it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's actually, I know it got some really good reviews. I started playing it.
It looks absolutely stunning though, doesn't it? It's a beautiful game.
It's a really good looking game, and you do sort of sympathise with the characters a little bit, and you know it's got some really good production values on it. You know, if you can't really see any of the sort of the edges, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
it's not like you can see the I suppose all the bones of it. Really, it does look. I mean, the way I heard it described it was basically like a Studio Ghibli film that runs
pretty much time. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's in that sort of Metroidvania sort of style. I must admit, I've only literally just chipped away at the surface of it yet, and it's got some solid mechanics in it, reasonably solid mechanics. There's been a couple of bits where I've been like, this isn't quite maybe what I expected it to be, but I've only chipped the surface, so I can't sort of pass judgment on it.
No, I suppose that's the thing. Obviously, I think we're the unfortunate sort of generation that grew up where you've got like the powerhouses that were producing and absolutely nailing the mechanics in these games from the get-go. Like, say, obviously Nintendo with Metroid, and obviously the Castlevania series.
Yeah.
It's a tough one for obviously people of our age and sort of our experiences with the games that we've played. That, I mean, you really have to nail it. It's like with platformers, like 2D platformers. I mean, unless it's like on par with Rayman Legends or Origins, don't even bother.
I mean, like things like Super Meat Boy and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant! Unbelievable.
But do you know, I listened to like an interview the other day, and somebody was talking about sort of Mario, the original Mario, and the whole sort of ability to sort of jump and turn in the air.
The mid-air moonwalk.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's just like, it was so solid back then.
How everything's weighted in that game is just phenomenal. Like because you can do the quick jump and then the big jump as well, and it was just nothing that's ever been programmed. It's never been intended or designed that way. It's just obviously things that have fallen out through obviously different iterations and how they've just tested it.
Yeah,
but it's worked so well.
Like that original Mario, I always say with that game, and I fear that I could be going off on a bit of a tangent here, but I always think with that one, it's just one of those games where you play it and you could walk through the whole game and play it absolutely fine, but you set your own difficulty because you go, no, I want to collect all the coins, or no, I want to get the power up.
I want to run through the whole thing,
or I want to absolutely cane. I know I can do this, so I'm going to cane it, and then you just die multiple times.
Yeah, it was around a friend of mine's a few weeks back, and he's got all of these. Like I say, he's been a gamer for years and years. I mean, he's even to the point that it's somewhat scary the amount of different collections of consoles he's got. But we was playing the original Mario on the NES, and yeah, it's just like, I know I never actually grew up with the NES, so I never really got to play an awful lot of these games. But she's like, yeah, do you know what, I'm just going to run through the whole thing. Yeah, so I've never actually completed the original Mario Brothers, but I'm going to nail it and just run. And like you say, died multiple times. Yeah. Just embarrassed myself and showed myself up fairly inadequate at Mario.
It's the proper level of that game. Everybody reckons, it's an old Mario game, it's got to be easy, and then you play it and like, actually, no, it's not.
No, that's it. You sort of realise that games have got easier as we've got older.
Yeah, very much so. Cool. Right, well, let's head over to the Triple B.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Bullet Bill's Big 3, baby! Yeah! Boom, 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 boom. And here we are on our new section. So, hitting up our first bullet hole for this week is what, Link?
Well, we're obviously big fans of Platinum Games at the B button.
These guys are solid, aren't they?
Every game that I've seen them pull out, apart from Legend of Korra, has been really, really good.
Yeah.
But even then, it was a solid game. It's just let down by a few things.
Yeah. I mean, the ones I always think of is like Vanquish,
Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Obviously, Scalebound looks phenomenal. That's coming out obviously not this year now, but hopefully next year.
Transformers Devastation.
Transformers was solid, really good game.
They're just really good at their combat stuff, aren't they?
They do just excel at that. It seems they know stylish, quick combat is their forte.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm all about game mechanics. If I don't really give a shit too much if like things like storyline let it down, I can tolerate all of that.
Yeah.
But if the actual core gameplay is solid, I'm in, and that's what Platinum Games brings every time.
I mean, well, we grew up in the good old days of really bad video game stories where it's just like character X has been done over by character Y and his girlfriend's been stolen.
Yeah.
Go and get it back.
Oh, Double Dragon.
Yeah. Basically, it's pretty much every one of those. I think the only game really that took story to any sort of real level was Square, with the obviously the Final Fantasies and the Mana series.
Yeah, exactly.
Evermore as well. What game that was.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But anyway, I digress. Yeah. Getting off topic yet again. But obviously, Platinum Games, they've been showing off their new Turtles game.
Right.
Obviously, we found out about months ago, obviously, with the leaks that did come out. But
this is Turtles in Manhattan.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it looks phenomenal. But, I mean, nowadays, we don't really have to worry about how games look. To be honest, they can go from, as long as it looks cool, I'm happy. And it does look very cool. Nice cel-shaded, 3D cel-shaded.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously they've just been showing that off. It's first playthrough for a lot of game journos.
Yeah.
Getting some details now about how it's all going to work. So we've got the combat, which is obviously it's to be expected. It would be a 2-button system with a heavy attack and light attack.
Yeah.
But that's all you need for a game like that. It's a scroll and beat 'em up. Obviously, it was described as a flurry of punches and fireworks. Basically, because every attack sort of preceded like obviously with the effects that they're using, you get little traces, and obviously each turtle is going to have their selection of skills and individual skill wheels.
Nice.
Obviously Leo have one where he can slow down combat and slow down time. Michelangelo's got one where he sort of cheers on with the rest of the group, so it gives everyone sort of power buffs.
Let me guess, Raph's like raging out.
I'd imagine so. They didn't really go into too much details to all of them, obviously, to leave some surprises. But yes, obviously they're all going to have their own little abilities and a character wheel which you can upgrade. There is going to be a sort of almost free roam aspect to certain bits, like you'll have like time in between the levels where you can go to like the sewers, which will be where you can upgrade stuff.
You were saying there's a really interesting mechanic about how they die and how you get back in again.
Obviously, because it's a 14 crew, obviously with the turtles.
Online?
Yeah, it's going to be online only.
Right.
For multiplayer. There's no local co-op. Obviously, Platinum said they wanted to try and get it in there, but it would have suffered frame rate. So it's going to be a buttery smooth 60 frames a second, apparently.
Nice.
But I don't think I've seen buttery smooth 60 frames a second on any game at this gen, unless it's on a PC, basically.
Well, let's keep the faith and see what you get to.
Hopefully, I mean, if anyone can pull it off, I'd imagine Platinum would be pretty solid to do so.
So what happens if I get fucked up in the middle of a battle?
Well, if you're playing, obviously, with I don't know how it would work with single player, but if you're playing multiplayer, say obviously there's two of us, you die, you'll then get transported back to the sewers to try and replenish your health with pizza. And I think it's sort of like a bit of a sort of a button tapping mini game, to try and eat as much as you can, as quick as you can.
Break out the vibro finger.
Basically, yeah. And then obviously you'll come back into action. If all 4 characters are then put into that sort of pizza eating state, then that's game over. But as long as one of the characters is out fighting still, essentially 3 of you could have died, and as long as one of you gets back out there sort of before the next person dies, then you'll be alright.
That, touching on something we're going to get to in our beef section, but that's a different way of doing it for once.
I think that's a really interesting way, because I mean that's the problem with me with those kind of games, that say if you're really crap at it, i.e. me, you get to a certain point where I'm going to die, and I'm just going to be stood around waiting.
Yeah.
For either for you to finish and finish the guy off,
or more realistically,
boom, or you to then join me in the annals of Heimdall.
Yeah. Cool. So all in all, sounds pretty good. I mean, it's definitely something that's caught my interest. I mean,
it's got all of the classic characters.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's got the look. It's got the developers behind it.
I've seen Rocksteady in there. I've seen Bebop. I've seen Shredder.
Yeah.
I forget the shark character's name, but yeah, it's
got everything you want and need it to be. Really.
Didn't see Baxter the Fly, but I'm sure he's in there somewhere.
I'm sure he'll turn up. Like you say, you want to leave a few surprises, don't you? You don't want to ruin it all. So like everything's known.
Didn't see Krang in there either.
No, but I would imagine that again he'll pop up in some respect.
One sort of minor note on it that I did see during the trailer, and I'd encourage people to go out there and have a quick look at it, is there's a bit where they're in the subway, the turtles are all sort of like gassing away, and a sort of a subway train sort of goes by, and it all goes into slow-mo, and as it's sort of going through the station in slow-mo, they look through the window, and behind it's like Rocksteady with this huge hammer, and he's halfway about to sort of smash the door open. Nice. And they'll kind of go, oh shit, sort of thing, just as he rocks it. Yeah, it looks amazing.
I mean, the trailer itself looked really cool.
Stylised,
it's
very
really,
stylised.
Really spot on. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, I wouldn't see that as a full retail release. In terms of buying it, I wouldn't go out and spend 50 quid on it.
No.
Sort of thing that, I mean, I noticed that the PSN, you've got the Transformers Devastation on there for like $17.50. I mean, for that money, that's a steal.
Buy it.
Every day of the week, if you've got the money, go and get it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're talking 25, 30 quid, I'm there. But beyond that, I mean, it's going to be a good fun game, but there's going to be very little real to it. It's not like something that's going to be in a year's time still drawing you back.
No, but as long as you can go online and beat the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, like you say,
beat the shit out of the foot.
It's one of those, isn't it? It's that kind of game that I've played in a really intense game. Like you say, you've been on the Division in the dark zone for a few hours, and you've finally got your gear out, and you're like, right, that's me, I'm out, I'm done, I'm tapping out before I end up having a heart attack or fucking some nervous breakdown. And then you can just pop that on for half an hour, a couple of hours, and just blast through it and just have some fun.
Lay the fist to the foot,
yeah, that's
cool.
it.
Right, so moving on to our second bullet hole for this week, it's a pretty special game.
Oh, this looked phenomenal.
We're talking specifically about Katana Zero.
Yeah, never heard of this game before now.
Yeah, this is the first time I saw anything about it. It's a side-scrolling platformer / beat 'em up puzzler, Metroidvania. I don't know if it is.
I don't know if it's a Metroidvania, but it's definitely like with this sort of almost a room at a time kind of thing, where you've got to work the best way through it, haven't you?
Reminds me a little bit of Stealth Bastard.
Dark Soulsy, almost, in the sense that you're going to have another go.
Yeah.
You will die and you will fail, but don't worry. Just remember how you failed and learn.
Yeah. So released by a developer called ASCIIsoft. Who basically, it's quite a small little band. I think we're looking at like
6-7 people, I think it was.
Yeah, not a great deal. But what they've done is they've come up with this really interesting premise where you're a samurai. Side-scrolling, like I said, very sort of 8-bit-esque graphics.
Yeah, it's all very pixel art. Yeah.
And so you're basically just busting your way through the levels. You've got some bullet time abilities, deflect bullets back at people. You can sort of roll out the way, take people's heads off. Rewind if it goes wrong. So kind of like in an old VHS sort of style.
That's the thing that had me though. It was how 80s it all sounded and looked.
The music was really good.
Brilliant music.
Really good.
I don't think we're going to be able to sell it as well as the trailers did.
No. I mean, go have a look.
Yeah, it's something there. Look it up. Katana Zero. All one word.
Yeah.
It looked phenomenal. I mean, they've got some free music on the website that you can download. They've got loads of, again, I don't know if it's GIFs or GIFs, GIFs.
Yeah.
The pictures that move. I don't know. But there's loads of resources on there, and obviously there's a couple of trailers on there. You can contact all of the people that have been making the game just to either give them some encouragement, or, as this is the age of the internet and the asshole, you can give them some abuse, if you think it looks crap.
So, released on multiple platforms?
Yeah, there wasn't really much in the way of what it's coming out on. Obviously, Steam will be a given. I don't know, it didn't actually mention Xbox or... But we saw there was the LT, it wasn't L2, it was LT, which obviously to me is left trigger.
Yeah.
Which to me points or hints at Xbox release.
Yeah.
But it could just be that they've been using the Xbox controller as a basis because it's PC.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it will definitely come to PC and Steam. That's a given. I'm hoping that it will come to consoles because I think it's console game 101 really. That's the kind of stuff that people love.
Crave for it, don't we?
Yeah.
It's it really gave me that sort of... I don't know if you ever played the Far Cry sort of remake that they did.
Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon, yeah.
Yeah, the Michael Bain 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's got that kind of feel, colours, graphics, sound, music, all that sort of... Yeah.
It did... I mean, literally, it was reminiscent. I mean, we were talking about, wasn't it? It reminded us of Kung Fury, which again is just another homage to the 80s and the ridiculousness of it all.
What are you going to do? My job. Amazing.
Is your new partner Triceracop? I mean, that again would be best get off the topic there because we're going to get off topic from the off topic.
Yeah. But well worth it.
Definitely phenomenal.
Go katanazero.com, go have a look at it and just support that game. Please support that
definitely
game.
Worth it.
Cool. So bullet hole number 3, what do we got? Link.
Well, it's a bit of a random one. I mean, this we could have almost talked about in the Uncharted, but there was some other news that really would be too much to talk about here. We've left the Uncharted. But obviously Ninja Theory, the developers behind Odyssey, Journey to the West, the Devil May Cry remake and Heavenly Swords, obviously that was a really, really well-received game for how the story was delivered and the animation.
Heavenly Sword, this is...
Yeah.
I mean, very underrated game.
But I mean, it looked phenomenal, and the like you said, the cutscenes and the actual motion, not the motion, the movie side of it was brilliant.
And the gameplay was, switching between the different weapon styles was just
it's
great.
Like you say, massively underrated, but Ninja Theory are solid team. They really do some good work.
Yep.
But obviously they've got a new game coming out. I didn't really see much of when the actual game's coming out because I was kind of distracted by their amazing motion capture tech that they've been showing off this week.
Once again, really small team, isn't it?
17 people in their team.
Yeah.
Obviously they've been outsourcing to a lot of other studios and software houses that are, again, they've gone basically, who's the best at doing this? Right, we'll get them to do this for us. Like some of the actual capture studios that they had and the quality and the detail that they've got of all of the characters, like the woman who plays the lead in the game. I mean, they have her exact 3D replica in Unreal 4 and it looked phenomenal.
I mean what was it which really got you about it? Is it the facial capture piece? The movement?
It was the fact that everything was being captured in real time and displayed in-game engine real time.
Rendered real time.
Yeah, I mean, there was that scene, wasn't it, where she sat there playing on her phone, and in the game she's sort of like in this desolate, sort of burnt out shrill of a place, and she's just, like you say, as the character is just sat there with one leg over the other, where she's sat in a chair pissing around on her phone. But
there is no chair, is there? So she's just kind of floating in the air, and you look at the character and you think, and the character looks really sort of disinterested and sort of playing with its hand and looking down at itself, and you think, what the hell's it doing? And then the camera sort of pans round and you can see the motion capture actress just sat in the chair dicking around on her phone. She kind of looks up as if to say what, but it is spot on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there was bits where she was doing some scene work, and it's as she's saying it in real time. You can see on the screen behind her that's showing it in game. And she's there moving around exactly how she is. I mean, it was phenomenal that in the space of 5 years, where we've gone from the stuff that Heavy Rain developers, Quantic Dream, obviously Rockstar were doing with GTA 5 and LA Noire. I mean, they are phenomenal. The motion tech in that, the motion capture tech in that, and Uncharted as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you see those performances, and they are unbelievably good.
Yeah, I mean,
and like now, the fact, we can change that this morning. It's not, we'll get the actors in, we'll spend 2 days shooting, then we'll take that data and we'll impose it onto that character frame, and then we'll get all of the bones lined up, and we'll spend another week putting that together and rendering it. It's just, no, we don't like that, reshoot it.
Yeah, I mean, what impressed me was the most. Ninja Theory sort of stood back and said, do you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to set ourselves a timeline and a budget to do it, and we're just going to attack it. And they did it in 7 weeks. In 7 weeks. That's just crazy, you know.
I mean, I think that does sort of go some way towards showing how good the Unreal 4 engine is.
Yeah.
Because I think it just shows what they can do with it and how adaptable and how much scope you've got with it, because obviously, like most things with gaming, it's down to how your engine operates, really. And I mean, it's a solid piece of tech.
So did it sort of entice you a little bit for the game, Hellblade?
Do you know, I wasn't really interested in the game in any shape, way or form.
Brutal.
Not that it's a bad thing, it's just I was just blown away by the sheer scale of what they've done with how small a team it was.
Yeah.
I mean, the game itself does sound interesting, because obviously it's one woman's descent into sort of her own issues with mental health, and how sort of paranoia and schizophrenia are starting to attack her psyche. I mean, some of the scenes that we saw, it did seem quite dark.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got something in her head, or some force is basically busting her chops about something, and you see her breaking further and further, and the determination in the character to try and overcome this, and that you can see that on the actual avatar's face.
Yeah.
I mean, the way it's conveyed in game is
really something. Yeah.
It's exactly the same as what it was on the screen, pretty much. Obviously, certain limitations apply, but
all in all, it's pretty damn close.
Something else. I can't believe that, like you're saying, in the sort of last 5 years, that this is how far we've gone and leapt forward.
Yeah. Sort of a little preamble to our next section, What's a Beef Chief? If you want to know how to copy somebody identically, that's the way to do it.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to bust over to our What's the Beef Chief? What is the beef, Chief? What is your fucking beef? What's the issue, buddy? What is the issue, Link?
There's a couple, really, today. I mean, it's a little, I suppose you could call it a meatball.
Yeah.
There was the story last year that sort of broke that Lindsay Lohan was unhappy with Rockstar and Take-Two.
Oh, no.
Because apparently one of the characters in GTA 5 massively resembled her life and likeness.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
But basically, the story is that the judge that was hearing the initial opening gambit has granted Lindsay Lohan the opportunity to take Rockstar, Take-Two, to court to sue for defamation.
Right, and this is all on the character, which is what?
Lacey Jonas.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, the one with the paparazzi missions where you see her descending into chaos. It's basically a satirical look at pretty much half of like the young talent that coming out of Hollywood, because there's been numerous stories about various other actresses.
You won't be able to see this, but when we say talent, are we using air quotes here?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
I think the only thing Lindsay Lohan's got a talent for is sniffing drugs and being a douchebag. Yeah. Basically.
So how's her career going right now?
Well, this is the reason why I think she's going for the class action lawsuit. Because, you know, I mean, if she does get awarded punitive damages, I mean, from something that's made over $1 billion and then some.
Yeah.
There could be quite a healthy payday out of it for it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you've got to work somehow, and I guess that's what she classifies as work. Yeah.
Well, obviously, the title of my gripe, I've eloquently named Lohan is a cockmuncher that is scrabbling for pennies like the cheap whore, and obviously I've added this. I think she is.
Right, good.
Because now I've corrected an opinion and I'm allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah. So, just to clarify your opinion, you're basically just saying she's a money-grabbing whore.
What a complete talentless scumbag.
Right, okay.
Was also another note that I put.
Right, that's just your opinion, though.
That's just my opinion.
Here's my opinion. My opinion goes something along the lines of, okay, irrelevant of whether it is a satirical rip-off of you or not, or taking the piss of you, I think the crux of it is if you don't want the world to think of you as a complete and utter scumbag, douchebag, blonde, vacant hoe, don't act like one.
Yeah, basically.
And that's that part of the beef wrapped up. Yeah,
that's all I have really to say. I've had a little chew on it. I've had a swallow, brought it back up, and left it be.
Right.
Like the mouldy hairball that it should be left as.
Okay, so, to summarise, Lindsay Lohan, in my opinion, you can suck my balls.
Yeah, scumbag.
Suck my balls.
Scumbag. Go out and earn your own fucking money.
Yeah. Right, now moving on to a slightly more games-related beef. Would you like to phrase this one? Because you've got an eloquent way of putting this.
The lazy design in multiplayer that ruins the core experiences that the game is supposed to represent.
Yeah. So, for me personally, I think that for quite a while now, there's certain mechanics which are used in games which you just kind of, every time you play any game, you go, really?
We're still doing this?
Yeah, really? And examples of that would be one, invisible walls.
Yeah.
They're still everywhere in video games. They're not needed.
You'd think, though, that they would do something as simple as create, it's technology realistically and memory problems aren't the issue anymore. I mean, it's more creativity and that kind of thing that holds you back, and funding and money.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, it's like you say, the invisible walls. Just go out, get one of your fucking artists to make, I don't know, like a barbed wire wall.
Yeah.
Because barbed wire is difficult to climb over. It's a pain in the ass. It's okay, there's a barbed wire wall. I'm not going to climb that. I know that. I can't climb barbed wire walls.
Yeah. But it's funny you say that. As an example, another example, one of the things which kind of gets on my tits a little bit is the whole thing about climbing stuff, right?
Yeah.
In games where there are certain things that they want you to climb and certain things that they don't, right? But they don't always necessarily represent your character's height ability to climb.
Yeah, you watch him. I mean, we were playing The Division the other day, weren't we? And there's a bit where you've got a wall which you could Jackie Chan your way up it, but you'd have to Jackie Chan your way up it. Like, there's a bit of a wall run involved, and then a jump and a climb.
Yep.
No, I'm just going to sort of leap sort of 5 foot and grab hold of it and jump up, and it's not a problem. But this 3 foot fence...
Yeah.
Serious problems. Something that I could probably fall over myself.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's just little things like that.
And I'm at a point now where I'm expecting people to sort of challenge these staples and kind of say, actually, if you're going to have a little fence that you don't want people to climb over, put some spikes on top of it, and also put some animation in there that when your character tries to climb it, he stabs his hand or something.
He gets injured, or there's a consequence. And something that's showing you that you can't do this. Not just stand there, just idly at it, like trying to basically hump the wall.
I mean, we've seen certain games, and I'm thinking of well, to be fair, The Division did do it a little bit, where you sort of go up against a car and you'll close the door with his hand and stuff like that.
Certain things in there, it was really, really well done, and the animations and the stuff that sort of transpires from certain actions is brilliant.
But there's some game developers, and I'm thinking like Naughty Dog. You look at The Last of Us, right? whenever you go to cover, he leans against the wall, and if there's another character like the girl that he's supposed to protect, he'll like lean over her, and like they start being a little bit more smarter about how the characters interact with each other.
The reactive animation's brilliant in that. I mean, there are some really funny issues in The Last of Us, but like in the interactions and the animations within the world and other characters is really, really well done.
They've just tried doing something about it. You know, you go behind cover, and that sort of like animation of him kind of sliding around, and all that sort of stuff. It works. It doesn't feel like I'm going to walk this way, I'm going to turn 90 degrees, I'm going to walk into the wall, then I'm going to hit the cover.
Clunky animations repeated.
We don't have to do this stuff anymore. And there's other things which kind of get on my tits a little bit. And one of them recently is just once again picking a little bit on the Division here is multiplayer and being able to like play with your mates. Phrasing boom. But things such as like you go into a multiplayer. I'm level 25, you're level 15. If we go into the same game, all the enemies go up to my level, and you can't do shit about it. No. And we can't play that game together.
Which is essentially a multiplayer game.
Yeah, but why? I don't understand why the enemies for you can't stay at the level that you're at, and the enemies for me stay at the level that I'm at. I'm fine if you want to sort of bar off certain missions, saying this is a level 25 mission, and therefore you can't enter
fair
it.
enough.
But just like allow us to play the game together.
Even something as simple. I mean, it becomes a bit tedious and a bit pedestrian for you. But say I join your group, I go up to your level in terms of enemies and what I'm going to be facing.
Yep.
Yeah, I accept that. But if you join my group, why is you not joining it at my level?
Yeah.
So yes, you're massively OP and you're going to take out everyone really quickly. But still, I should not be then, I suppose, priced out.
Yeah.
Really, of enjoying a game how it's intended to be enjoyed. Oh, you didn't buy it day one when everybody else did. Well, fucking tough shit, babe.
Yeah, it's just you just look at it and you kind of think, guys, there's ways to deal with this, but you just can't be bothered. And let's be honest, for me personally, one of the things that I like the most about the last and this generation of gaming is that we're now at a point where we can play games that we would never dream of being able to play multiplayer together cooperatively.
Yeah.
And I know that, Link, you sort of share the same feeling with me that I don't mind PvP, but it's not really sort of the staple of what I'm looking for.
No, I'm well past giving a toss that my COD kill to death ratio in multiplayer is always negative, and I couldn't give a toss about that anymore.
For me, what I really enjoy doing is get a group of my mates and playing a game like Destiny does it quite well, where you go into an area and you fight a group of enemies together as a team, or something like that. Those are the things which that's why I used to love.
Borderlands was another one that did it really well.
Yeah, exactly. And these are sort of that's why I used to love the old scrolling beat 'em ups where you're working together as a team to sort of do stuff.
Yeah.
And co-op should just be like a given now. If you're looking at a game like, for example, how great would Zelda be if it was a co-op game?
Yeah. Look at what was it, the one they've just done, Triforce Heroes.
Yeah, exactly. But that's designed around a 3-player style.
Yeah.
What I want to do is I want to be able to play Zelda with a friend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's you can do that now. Just start thinking about it, people. We're not challenging ourselves.
Well, it's one thing, If you're gonna sell your game as a pure single player game, this is something that you can enjoy and it's for you to enjoy alone. Fine, no problems. Like you say, Zelda is a fine example of here is a single player game. We've not shoehorned some crappy multiplayer into it just for the sake of keeping it in people's collections.
Yep.
No, it's a single player game. This is what you play Zelda for. Fine, okay. The Division. This is a core multiplayer game. This is a game that you play with your friends and you go in and you do your PvP or your PvE stuff. This is something you've got to do as a group.
How much have you played Division with your friends?
I've probably played maybe a couple of hours. And when I say played, I've just sort of gone and hidden in the corner and hope nobody shoots at me.
Yeah. You've been lone wolfing the majority of the game.
Yeah, I've had to. Because, the only other options we've got is, like you were saying, is we should both start up a second character from the get-go. And that's just our sort of... We'll go for it as a group.
Yeah, we don't play those characters unless everybody's in.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the only option, which I think is disappointing. And like you said now, it's lazy.
Yeah,
it's almost like they've sort of looked at the problem and thought, do you know what, I can't even be fucking bothered.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to attempt to, because it's just too much of a ball ache for me. I mean, if they'd have come out and said that, yes, we've got some issues with the balancing when you're joining other higher players or lower players. Yeah, we've got issues with that. We're looking to sort them out. Okay, no problems. We'll give you some time.
But they're not entertaining it, though, are they? And that's the thing. It's just like somebody looked at the mechanics of multiplayer in those sorts of games and just kind of went, that'll do. That's what everybody else does, so we'll do it. And it's like, no, that's not good enough. Now, moving on to sort of other things which I kind of, really pisses me off, and I just don't understand why we don't do it. Right, gamers aren't stupid, right? So we know what you're trying to do when you hide stuff. And an example that you gave to me earlier on was like in older games, in previous generations, when we didn't have like the memory and other such things, we chuck fog in to sort of hide the distance to stop popping and such like. Right? We're now getting to a point in technology where we don't need to do that and shouldn't have to. But things such as like loading times, right? I get that there's loading times, all right? Yeah. I'm okay with that. It's part of what gaming is. When if you're trying to do a really sort of AAA high-end game, you're going to have to load it at some point.
Or you go back to cartridges.
Yeah, or you go back to cartridges.
Like with games nowadays, you're probably going to talk about, we're like talking Neo Geo money.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a $300 game.
Yeah. But but things like, let's look at Destiny. Why the hell? Why do I not on any level, on any place, be able to look at the map, decide where I want to go, or get people to join me and go straight there? Why do I have to go to orbit and then select where I need to go and then load to the level? This sort of stuff is just fucking ludicrous. You spent so much time in space just watching a ship that you can't do fuck all with.
I mean, even if they had some little Galaga kind of mini game where you're shooting asteroids or something in the time that you're doing it, just give me something to do.
Yeah, a bit of extra cash or something like that for doing it.
Yeah, just something that I'm not, like you say, spending a third of your time in the game looking at loading screens.
Yeah, and the one which I've recently noticed in The Division is you go back to the home base, and there's a period of time where you have to just walk through a contamination section.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not being funny, but the actual act of me having to walk through this section, I'd rather watch a loading screen.
Yeah.
Because you don't let me do anything in it. I just have to walk through it. So just put a loading screen up. I'm all right with that. I mean, I've just devised my own little meta game now, which is as you enter the entrance, I try and double tap the dive button to get as far into it as I can before I have to start walking. It's like, guys, why? Why are you doing this to me?
Or even if it's something as simple as I can run for it, but as soon as I get to that point, you stop, decontamination, down comes the smoke and all of the UV light in, you decontaminated, right, okay, I'm done. I've got to do that every time, I accept that. But it works within the sort of the concept of the game and the viral outbreak and all of that, and you need to be contaminated to go into any public area or any place where there's people. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, don't make me walk through those fucking things every time, because it's not something you go back to once, maybe a session. You're sort of back there 3 or 4 times a night, really, aren't you?
Yeah, at least, yeah. So, this is my sort of plea, my cry, and the crux, the essence, the brass tacks of my beef, which is there are certain concepts within gaming which we all go, oh yeah, can't climb that, oh yeah, can't walk through here, oh yeah. Why are we still doing this to ourselves? It's great that we'll sit there going, oh, I need to come up with a new IP and this is what it's going to be, but why aren't we challenging the base core issues that we've lived with for years and not sort of resolved?
Well, like you're saying, I mean, we've talked about that as technology's moved on, sort of different sets of problems have arisen and different different things to overcome in terms of design mechanics, but yet we're still seeing the same old ones that it's almost like, do you know what, that's too much hassle, I can't be arsed, let's just stick with what we've got, it's fine.
I mean, once again, I'm continuing to rant here, but stop. A mate of ours that I've done a fair amount of gaming with, a guy called Panasonic. We saw a wrestling game which was WWE Superstars, right? And it was like a really like over the top sort of flamboyant.
Yeah, and all of the old characters, all of the old school lot.
Exactly that, and it was done really like over the top. People had like these huge chests and huge muscles and all this sort of going on. And what we couldn't do was just join a multiplayer, find each other, and play as a tag team against the enemy.
Yeah.
It's like the crux of the game.
Didn't do local or even multiplayer co-op?
No.
What?
You could just go online and find and randomly wrestle some opponent. But if you wanted to play, let's say if you did go up against your mate, it would only be against each other. Yeah. You couldn't work as a co-op team.
Do you know, I still reckon, though, wrestling games haven't got any better than WWF No Mercy on the 64. That literally had everything.
Well,
it was just the control scheme, the presentation. I mean, the fact that you could, like, when you create characters, you had all of your walk-in music, all of the proper music and videos, and you could actually... It was just a really, really solid game.
Yeah.
I mean, the actual gameplay of it was superb. And like all of the ones that you saw on the PlayStation were just really badly in comparison.
Let's be honest, they're just bang out iterations of the WWE
it's just,
stuff. But anyway, we digress as per the norm. That's what we do.
This is the thing. We do like to travel.
Yeah. Either which way, sort your shit out, developers. Come on now, think about it. We can do this.
I think it's just a case of getting a bit smarter with it, really.
Yeah, let's get a little bit smarter. Cool. It's time to shift on to our uncharted territory.
It's a big one this week.
Sure is.
A lot of territory that is uncharted.
Ooh, let's do this. Let's go. It's the uncharted territory section. I'm in my uncharted territory section voice.
I was going to say, you're sticking with the voice this time.
And as always, we like to just meander our way through the unspecifics or generalness of gaming, but we've got a little bit of an on-point topic this week, haven't we?
Yeah, well, obviously I thought it's too much for just a bullet bills.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had the big influx of VR news this week.
VR's out there, it's potentially here to stay, isn't it?
I would say, out of all of the years that, like, with 3D and motion controls and all of the sort of, again, air quotes, gimmicky bits of gaming that have sort of come through in the last 10 years, this, I would say, is the one that's got a chance to really cement itself as a new pillar, I suppose, to use some Nintendo coinage.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the Kinect version 1.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's actually been, like you say, when you've got a company as big as Facebook supporting Oculus, obviously they pay $2.5 billion for it, or $2.2 billion, something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously HTC, which are a massive company, and Valve, which obviously has got the biggest repository of games anywhere, with the Steam client, and then obviously you've got Sony with PSVR, and obviously that's the big sort of news bit this week that's come out. They released the final date, final price, and some of the games that are going to be released by the end of this year.
I mean, the one thing we do know about Sony is that they're amazing at doing the tech for gaming.
Have you seen some of the other bits that have come out this sort of last couple of months from like various trade shows and stuff like that? Like they were showing off this augmented reality table setup, and it would basically put stuff onto the table. And it's not like some stupid headset a la Hologlass or some VR headset. It's just, no, you go up and, there's that thing. Like do you remember Heavy Rain? You had the FBI guy with his glasses.
Yeah, I love that.
It's very much like that kind of table. Obviously, there was nothing, we're not actually doing anything with it, it's just, here's what we can do.
Well, this is the thing, as I always say about Sony, is they're amazing at doing technology. They come up with this really great stuff, and they go, right, we've done that, we don't want to make any money on it, let's go on to something else.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a lot of technology companies and sort of people that make electronics, it's all, like the research and development departments, they must be insane to work at.
Yeah.
Just, you're sort of walking through it, it's like, this is what the future's going to look like.
Yeah.
Or maybe 10% of it.
Tomorrow's world.
Yeah. But anyway, again, as we want to do, we digress.
Yeah.
But obviously, we've got some release dates. Oculus obviously releasing it at the end of this month on the 28th. That's going to be out at £600.
Ooh, that's a hefty price tag.
It is, especially when you're sort of talking, you're going to need sort of 1,200 quid's worth of PC to run it. Obviously the Vive, that's going to be out early April, I believe it's the 5th. That's going to be even more expensive. That's going to be $800 or £800, sorry.
Damn.
But the one I think which will be the only thing that saved VR gaming really, other than for the expensive rich people, is the PlayStation VR, which will be out in October, and that is coming in at £349, which is a fairly reasonable, because obviously we were talking about it in the week. I mean, for the price of just the Vive unit, regardless of the PC to run it, you can buy a PSVR headset, and a console, and the camera, and probably a pair of the Move controllers off of eBay for £800.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still not chump change, is it?
No, it's not in any shape, way, or form.
The headset itself is pretty much more than the price of the console.
Yeah.
So it's no small amount of cash to lay out. But I mean, just before, when we were looking and doing a bit of research beforehand, first thing I did was I pounded my way over to my PlayStation drawer, pulled it out and went, oh man, I thought I sold all my motion controllers. And I think I remember actually looking at the time and they were like, to get any trade in, it was like £6 from them. And I just went, fuck it, I'll keep them just as like shitty magic wands.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there's 2 of them sat in there.
Yeah. Yes.
And the nunchuck controller as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, I think, like anything with these kind of things, it's going to be the software that sells it. I mean, looking at the list of some of the games, I mean, I can't help but think that it's going to be very much like the Wii, and there's going to be a lot of gimmicky shovelwares, and we're just going to attach VR to it just to try and, because it's new and people always buy new stuff and they're stupid in those times. And let's buy it because it's VR and let's fuck all else out.
All this technology, and then after you played it for sort of like a couple of nights, you've just gone, there's nothing behind this game at all. It's literally just a tech demo.
Yeah. Or why did they bother going VR? They could have just put it on a TV and it would have played just as well, probably even better.
Yeah.
Because I'm not constantly looking around and going, wow, look at that. I can turn around and not face the action.
Yeah. What I do particularly like is if you go to if you put into any sort of browser and just search for PlayStation VR, it's got the holding page for PlayStation VR on PlayStation's site. And if you click on the video, before you actually press play on the video, it looks like the guy's just had an epileptic fit where he looks like he could potentially be pulling the headset off halfway through, like foaming at the mouth. But if you watch the clips on there, you can see some of the stuff they're doing, and I think I would say probably at least 60% of it, I looked at it and just went, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, a lot of it is gump. A lot of it is gump. I mean, looking through some of the games that are going to be coming out on the PlayStation VR, you've got 100-foot robot golf. Well, that's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, the title is pretty catchy.
Yeah. Obviously, Illumette. Again, God knows what that is. Ace Combat 7. I mean, that is the kind of game that VR works for and it's designed for. So,
I mean, I'm a great fan of... as I always say, I go to video games not to look for realism, but to look for like
escapism.
Exactly that, and over the top. I don't want to break and change down gear when I approach a corner. I know there's simulators out there which allow you to do it, but I actually want to do the sort of Ridge Racer / it's
the brake, accelerate, brake, power slide,
full revs, all the way around. And I don't mind the bullet sponginess in the Division. I actually don't want to be able to just go up and fart on an enemy and they die. So all that sort of stuff is cool. And Ace Combat, that whole thing of like I'm flying around with like 118 missiles attached to the wings,
which could only, in theory, hold 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's cool stuff. I mean, I love Ace Combat. So to do that in a VR situation, caning around, looking around,
and you can actually, because that's what I always found with modern simulators, it's so difficult to actually look round and
flight sims.
And to keep an eye on the actual action, because that is, I mean, a lot of piloting isn't actually looking at your instruments; it's looking around in the sky and using just your actual eyes as your tools.
Yeah.
I mean, going through, you got Ark, Survived Evolved, Battlezone, Babylon, Battle Royale, Chernobyl by Farm 51. I mean, it's quite an extensive list. There looks to be quite a few different kinds of games. Desert Bus 2.0.
What the fuck is
Desert
that?
Bus, have you ever heard of this game?
No.
This was one created by, I don't know if it was actually sort of just paid for by Penn and Teller, but it was literally you're driving a bus to Las Vegas.
Right.
And there was no save, there was no stopping, there was no, like, obviously this is back in the NES days, so it was just like, once you turn it off, you've lost all of your progress. And it was real time, like, you are travelling at 50 miles an hour and there is 1,002 miles to travel. It would take that amount of time to actually travel 50 miles an hour, 1,000 miles.
God.
So you could be up for 3 days playing Desert Bus, and once you get to the end, it's just like, well done, you've got to the end now, drive back.
You've arrived.
Yeah, that was it. It's complete trolling, mate. It's brilliant. But now we've got it in VR with version 2.0.
Thank God.
Obviously, you got Dynasty Warriors 8, Dead or Alive Extreme 3.
So
the only thing I can think of is Extreme Boner.
Yeah, Dead or Alive. I was watching some stuff earlier on. Not watching. I mean, I didn't have my dick in my hands or anything, but I was looking at.
I was fondling my balls.
I was looking at some of the alternate costumes on there, and I showed one to my missus, and this woman literally just had like what is probably about a Rizzler size, and I'm talking about the small Rizzler size, over her cooch. And then just a jewel on each nipple, and it was just basically a naked character.
Yeah,
and I was just like, "That's not an alternative costume."
It was basically what America gets away with is nudity on TV.
Yeah.
So it's just like, right, you can't see nipple or clunge. It's fine.
Count it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I mean, some of the other games which sort of caught my interest.
Gary the Goal. Amazing.
Sorry?
Gary the Goal. Doesn't have any information, just a title. Just Gary the Goal. I can only imagine it's a seagull simulator, so you'll probably be stealing chips from kids and shitting on people.
Yeah.
Which, do you know, I'm quite sold on that. That's what I would want from a VR experience.
What, shitting on children?
Not necessarily children. I wouldn't be that crass to just single out children. Yeah. I'd spread the love.
That's good. So some of the games which did interest me was like Robinson the Journey, which is that dinosaur.
What started out as a Crytek sort of tech demo, is now sort of fleshed out into a full game where you're obviously stranded on an island or a place or a planet.
Jurassic Park.
Basically, yeah, it looks like that. But there is the Jurassic Experience or Jurassic Encounter. Sorry.
Right, okay.
Encounter.
What about that Eagle Flight?
Yeah, that was obviously from Ubisoft, and you're basically flying around Paris. That's humanity's left Paris, and nature's taken it back. So very much like The Last of Us. And do you remember the film I Am Legend, where you see obviously New York and nature's taking it back over? Because I think it's like 7 years from the time that the last human would have been there. Like, it would take 7 years for nature to take back a city to the point that you would recognise that there's a city involved, but in there somewhere, but it's mainly green.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously you're flying around like that as an eagle. I mean, it looked really cool, and I'd imagine it's a really cool experience, but like you were saying earlier, it's just all it screams is tech demo.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things that when you get to do it, you'll be like, oh, this is an amazing experience.
5 minutes later, I'm bored.
But that's it. It's just an experience. There's no gameplay.
Knowing that it's an Ubisoft game, there'll be about 1 million collectibles.
Yeah.
And like 1 million things to collect, and there'll be some inherent like animation flaw. So when he tries to fly, he'll run up a wall instead.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I mean, there are some really interesting sounding games, like Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which I think, if I remember rightly, that was a game that came out on Steam, where one of you's a bomb disposal expert wearing the VR headset, and the other person's got the manual about how to disarm each specific bomb.
Right.
And so you've got it's like say it's taken gaming out from the screen and essentially put it on a piece of paper. And I really like the idea of that. That it's almost like you could play Dungeons and Dragons almost, where everybody else, like, you've got 4 players that aren't playing on a computer, they're actually just rolling dice, and you've got the dungeon master that's setting up everything, and he can see everything he needs to. And I think if people are really creative, and obviously the ability for people to make games is so easy now, like, it's gone back to like the good old coding bedroom coding days of the 80s, where people, like, as long as you know a bit, you can make a game. It's gone back to those good old days. And I think with the technology and, like, say, with stuff like VR, there's going to be some really, really interesting stuff coming out. But I don't think we're going to see it like most things with software. It's the next sort of year 2 or second generation of games that are coming through that you'll start to see some really interesting stuff.
What do you think of Gollum?
It looks phenomenal. It really does, but I haven't really seen much in terms of what the actual game is. Yeah. I mean, I know that you're like some girl that's stuck in a bed who's ill, and you can send your consciousness to this golem or golem, this little small clay figurine. I mean, when we saw the videos and you're like walking under the floorboards, and you look at the quality and all the dust falling through. I mean, it looked unbelievably good. But again, until some actual real core gameplay mechanics and what the point of the game comes out, I don't know how interested I am or not.
So this is my thing with this sort of stuff, and it's the same with like motion gameplay and all those things which came out. I can think of like maybe 1 or 2 games on the Wii which I was just like, this is amazing, like Wii bowling and stuff like that.
I'd say the ratio would probably 20 games. For every 20 games that come out on the Wii, one of them did something really cool.
That's really, really nice of you to say that. I don't think that's. I'd say like 1 in 50.
Yeah.
It was, I can think like they worked some of it in quite well. You look at like Skyward Sword and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was all really well done. And this is my concern with VR is that there's some things that I look at, and we talked a little bit about flight sims, Eve, Valkyrie. That looks pretty
just any
impressive.
simulation game will lend itself really well to VR because they're all about putting yourself in the shoes of X person that does Y job.
Will they work it into No Man's Sky?
I'm kind of hoping they do.
Yeah.
Because that for me is a VR seller.
Yeah. Yeah, but if I said to you, like, I cling filmed up some of my shit and I've written No Man's Sky on it, isn't that also a cling film shit seller to you?
It depends. Has it got 18 quintillion planets involved in there?
You don't know until you thumb your way through it.
It's worth a demo, isn't it?
But yeah, I mean, exciting times really, and I don't think I'm not disgusted by the VR, the PlayStation VR price.
No, I think it's they obviously they started out all throughout all of the demos that they've shown off of it and all the events that they've shown it off, and they said that it's going to be around the price of a console, like a new generation console. I mean, I think it's not going to be as good in terms of quality of the screens and the resolutions and the field of views as say the Oculus or the Vive, but when it's half the price, I mean, the fact that you can get like a complete setup for 800 quid, and that includes as well obviously the news that all the PS4 games will be playable through VR, not as VR, but you'll be able to play them on a 5-meter screen in VR.
Yeah.
I mean, a decent TV is going to cost you $350, but essentially you can get a PlayStation 4, a VR headset, and a couple of games, and you're set. You don't need a TV. You can just have my fucking stupid, ridiculous 55-meter moon screen.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff.
That'll do. That's fine. I mean, looking at some of the other bits, there's obviously a little processing unit that's going to come with the PSVR. Obviously, that allows for a HDMI pass-through, so you can put the action up on the screen, so everyone else can enjoy watching you poking stuff and just looking around in wonder. But there's also, like, with the asynchronous multiplayer, it's like the stuff that they were doing on the Wii U, where you've got one player's obviously on the little screen doing his shit, and then everybody else is on the big screen. You've got that option as well.
What did you think of the recent Star Wars sort of tech demo?
Do you know, I didn't actually look at the Battlefront stuff because I want to continue to hate on the game.
Right. Okay. There was one which is not necessarily in relation to Battlefront. It's kind of the premise is, this is what could happen, and you're on Tatooine. The Millennium Falcon comes in. You get a real sense of like, holy shit, that thing's massive. R2-D2 rolls off of it, and then right at the very end, he breaks out a lightsaber and does a couple of deflects.
Nice.
And I looked at that and I just thought, that's a really nice idea. And I was watching a video on IGN, which was actually in relation to games.
Which... shock horror.
Yeah, it wasn't a TV series. It didn't tell me about a movie or a comic
or a board game.
Yeah, it was actually in relation to a video game, which kudos to IGN on that. And they was basically saying that one of the ideas, which would be quite an interesting premise for this, is actually that they could do like a monthly or weekly storytelling. So it's almost like
an interactive movie.
Yeah, in which you get to experience it in VR. And I thought that was a really nice idea.
That, I think, especially with, looking at how good Hellblade looked. I mean, just imagine like being in that scene in VR where you can actually see what she's looking at and what she's so afraid of, but you can quickly look back and see her reaction. But look back and it's one of those sort of like the replayability. How good would Star Wars be if you could watch it 7 different times and get a different experience every single time?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see that before. I'm gonna go and walk around there and look behind there and see what everyone's so afraid of or so scared of.
Yeah, or even little things like just the character looks away, entertains his lightsaber for like a split second, and you didn't it gives
you didn't see it first time round, so you got to watch that bit again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like when you get a good film, you generally rewatch it because the first time you're just, oh man, this is amazing, and just to see it all in action.
Yeah.
And then the second time you watch it, like, well, I've seen all the story, I know all that's going on, but I'm going to take a look at the background and some of those characters.
You appreciate the nuances of it.
And you can like to look at the set design and the actual some of the efforts that the teams and the set designs have gone into, and you can actually take in all of the background, and you think, Jesus Christ, they've built an entire city for just 30 seconds. What the fuck? So
all in all, VR is this something that you can see yourself starting to squirrel away some pennies, getting ready for it?
Yeah, because thankfully it's I've got to October basically, because I've got to obviously get my PS4 ready for June.
I buy one.
Yeah. No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
And then obviously save up the 350, well 450 I'm going to need, because I'm going to need the camera.
Yeah.
And obviously a couple of Move handsets.
Do you know, it's funny because when I bought my PlayStation 4, because there was all this sort of... I still go on about this a little bit. I'm taking advantage of uncharted territory here, that when they released the Xbox, the fact that they didn't make the Kinect obligatory was just like the wrong move, all because PlayStation applied the pressure because of the price. And when I actually bought my Xbox One with the Kinect, it actually had more stuff in the box than when I bought my PlayStation 4 with the camera.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you bastards, you basically ruined Xbox's Kinect. You put so much pressure on them to remove the Kinect as a result of that. And then I had my PlayStation and the camera, PlayStation
camera,
Eye, whatever it is. And it's just a piece of shit. And I was just like, it does nothing. I have no use for it at all.
No.
It's not implemented in any games. You've tried like thumbing in voice control and other things, which kind of works, but doesn't have the processor of the Kinect. And I was just like, you wankers. But now, finally, I have some use for it.
You've got a reason to own it.
So I'm going to push it out from back behind my Kinect, which is where it currently resides, completely useless, blow the dust off of it, and might actually get to use it. But VR,
not till October.
Not till October. Exciting times.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I think it will be. The fact that you're going to have 50 games by the end of the year. Obviously, I would say out of those
games,
10% to maybe 5 or 6 really solid experiences. I know for a fact though that PS they're going to be knocking out a demo disc with it.
Yeah, so was it VR Worlds?
Yeah, so you're going to get a few little tech demos. Basically, it's the VR version of Wii Sports.
Yeah, Street Luge.
That looked fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
but that is one of those, like with most things, you're going to have to acclimatise to it, because. Like, I've read a few, was it Keza McDonald for Kotaku? Obviously, all of the tech demos and all of the games that she'd played previous to the GDC and the sort of 2-3 days worth of VR demos, it's always been like half an hour with a game, and then you go off and you go and experience, and you've got the rest of the show to take in.
Yeah.
So it was like, it wasn't too bad, but she said after like she had sort of 6 hours like of constant just. And you got stuff like Adrift, which is basically Gravity, the game. She said it fucked her up. I mean, but if she stares at a screen for too long, she gets sort of bad headaches, and she gets really bad motion sickness in the car and travel sickness. But she said like it took her 2 days to get over that. Like,
really?
Yeah. But this is someone that's obviously said that I get affected by this stuff easily. So she's on that sort of one end of the spectrum where she's really sort of highly receptive to it.
Yeah.
Obviously you don't know how far, but it's going to take some getting used to, because obviously when you've got the screen in front of you, you've got obviously the rest of the room and your spatial everything around you to bring you out of it. Whereas when you're in VR, all you've got is your headphones in, so orally and visually you're there, but your brain's just like, but why is my inner ear thing not going crazy? Because I'm doing 0G spins.
Yeah.
And there's that disconnect that can fuck a few people up.
But with all these sort of things, the same as if you do like 3D gaming on the 3DS and stuff like that, initially everyone goes, oh, it's headache material, and it is, but as if anybody sort of wears glasses or contact lenses and stuff like that, when you change your prescription, initially it's all a bit of a head fuck, and you've kind of got to go through a period of time of sort of
acclimatisation.
Exactly that.
I mean, I know the one with the 3DS though, that wasn't due to the 3DS effect. It was the fact that 6 out of 10 people's eyes aren't actually proper straight.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those people. I thought, I've got crooked. I've got a sneaky, lazy bastard eye.
Crooked eyes.
Yeah.
Right, and on that note, we're going to wrap this up.
So yeah, just a last quick one. If you was to buy any kind of games for VR, what would you be looking at?
For me, it's all about Valkyrie, Eve, and Ace Combat 7. Bit of Golem. That's it for me.
I was going to say it's all the simulators. Project Cars looks brilliant in VR, and again Ace Combat. And if it does pop up in release lists, is No Man's Sky.
We'll see. Cool. Okay, so there it is, folks. That's episode 9, almost wrapped up. Link, as always, I got to say, final thoughts on VR, yay or nay, in 2 words?
Yay, I'm excited.
We'll take that. Equally for myself, I'm probably in, but we'll see. I've got enough of the peripherals, we'll find out. Cool, so from Angry Link, it's...
Adios.
And for me, it's Auf Wiedersehen.